Oh, they are? Oh, my goodness, okay.
Kind of hard to tell when nobody's talking.
Well,
You
I
want us to
can,
chat, Ed?
I can try to speak. I think this is
You
the
want us to go
microphone
ahead?
that was in question.
Maybe, go
Are
ahead,
we
Mr.
hearing,
Gaber, and
are
we'll
we
try
hearing
to...
anything any better now, or is it still the same?
It's just out in the hallway they can't hear.
Yeah, it's the
can't hear
Oh,
hallway.
it's out in the hallway that they can't hear? Okay, well, hopefully he can hear me testing 1, 2, 3, and, see how this goes.
See how it goes.
Is it working?
Thumbs up, Ed? Not chat? What do you think, Ms. Chomich? Should we go ahead with the meeting, or should we wait for the audio to be fixed in the hallway?
I would wait, see what we can do for now. If not, I would propose we possibly keep
Open
the
the door.
doors open, but maybe give him a couple minutes and see what he
Okay,
can figure out.
thank you. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Gaber. Why don't we call? I'll call for a 5-minute recess and give our video person some opportunity to fix it. Just want to get up and stretch your legs. Yeah, go ahead.
Is anything happening? Is this better? Can anybody hear me in the hallway?
I can hear you clearly.
Sounds as though the room is okay, it's just the hallway?
Because it's an open meeting.
Yes. 3. Oh, yeah.
Something you can do about either of those.
I don't know if they have a curfew or not. But I think she covered most of the points. Apparently, it's the way she presented it.
Yeah, I think it's good. Joan and Bill divorced.
Yeah.
You're still surrounded by 2 commercial parcels on the west and the south side. So that doesn't. And the other thing about the fence, I don't think you have to have a masonry fence because it's not residential. It's just a putting residential.
That is residential.
Out to the west is still CBD. That's where the fence is.
I know.
I'm pretty sure that's pretty standard. Typical, you need the wall.
Didn't work.
Neither one.
Well, you did. I mean, essentially, this isn't recycling. Let's see how they look at it. Because they might want some of that stuff. A lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you're gonna. People don't want to see change. I mean, that's pretty typical. That's right.
Yeah. How long were you in?
Just 2.5 days.
They say for every day in the hospital, it takes you 1 week to recover.
Well, the first, like when I got there, I was probably already checked in the back by 10 in the morning, I'm guessing.
I got next Thursday.
They get you so high. Because there's nothing they can do for you. They just give you IVs and payment until it gets to something in your chest. Then they finally give you, water to drink. And then like the night before I got out, they gave me it was like tomato soup.
Phone call.
So I have no idea. But I said my boss being contacted by people, like they're her boss, saying, why is this not working?
I have no control over Comcast. It's working fine. Wow. It's working fine on the internet. Until we get back to it and we start talking again. I've made every adjustment possible.
All right. So is it working out there? If we talk in the mic, we'll go out there.
Give it a
Is
test.
there anything else we should cover preemptively? Like, I should ask you about the tree size.
Hello.
They're going to ask about it. You should probably tell them what.
Can you hear me now, Ed? Ed, can you hear me?
I mean, the explanation.
Ed, are we there? Can you hear it now, Ed?
What is the size of the evergreens?
Good.
Like 8 to 10 feet, 8 to 9.
Here's a guy.
But I thought we were doing more than the ordinance required.
All right, Ed. Could you hear it?
What about for evergreens? So that's. We say it's going to be 4 to 6 foot wall. I mean, generally, are those 8-foot trees when they're planted?
Okay.
He knows what that means.
Is it working out there?
Is this on?
Yes. So we leave the door open.
Comcast is down. It's still live streaming and it's still on Wow.
Okay.
But it's not on Comcast. So what do? Postpone it for a month or just keep going? He said just keep going.
He doesn't determine.
I know.
All it takes is 5 years to make them look different.
It'd probably be a good idea to say it's working out wow. The streaming on YouTube. It's working. It is working there. It's not working on Comcast, which is the monitor that they all.
Oh, but
You know,
check with our attorney, because if they can't hear it as a
Thought they were testing the stuff.
they can't hear it.
That's not.
your face looks round.
It's everything.
You feel good? Gotta feel good. He did that with
Right, that's true. Yeah, they couldn't have anticipated that number.
I'm sure them are the hard ones.
It is because I'm down 67. Once you get done.
I was doing good. I cut down 50.
I call the meeting back to order. Make sure everybody is here. Yes, thank you, Mr. Farina. The issue is, we are being videotaped on WOW and YouTube, but not Comcast. And that is what you're viewing out in the hallway is Comcast, and it's not working. The only thing we can do at this moment is open the doors, do our best to speak. If you can step inside and crowd in, it's up to you, but that is what we're going to have to go forward with. So I will continue with the meeting, and Ms. Greener, just note that it's 8:39.
Want to put more chairs up there?
I don't know if we have more chairs to go. It's quite crowded. Do we have any more chairs
There's
they
no
can bring
room to
in?
put 'em.
There's no room to put them.
I think you should cancel it because it's not appropriate for people waiting there. We are standing for an hour now. I think you should cancel it. It will be more appropriate for the City of Fraser to have something more appropriate for these people. I just want to say that.
Well, the public hearing has been noticed for tonight.
Yes, it has,
so
the public hearing has to be open and closed, no matter what, sir. It has to be open and closed. Okay. Okay. And Ms. Tomich, I will ask you to direct any questions so everyone understands what's going on, that it's legal, it's open, meeting's open. You go ahead and come.
Oh, I'll reiterate what you just stated. The public hearing was noticed for tonight. Unfortunately, I know that the audio in the hallway is not working. This is the best we can do here and now. We do have microphones in the room. If there are people in the hallway who wish to speak, they will still be able to speak during the public hearing. They'll still be able to come up and speak at that time.
And as well, everything is going to be taken in minutes, and the video will be live, that you can actually go to the meeting when the meeting's over and go listen to it and hear everything then, much clearer. Okay? Mr. Gaber, thank you for your patience. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I was saying, the conditions, we're proposing 10 conditions, and the purpose is to restrict the rezoning to the project that we're showing you. Most importantly, it limits the uses to the mixture of uses that we're proposing, the restaurant, convenience store, and gas station, and it also restricts the development to what is shown on the site plans, basically the concept plans that we've given you, the preliminary site plans and the elevations and such. So that's the purpose of most of the conditions. Next, please. So the rezoning standards, in the planner's report, she went through these, so I think we can skip this section of the PowerPoint. Keep going, please. And the same thing with regard to the special approval, the land use, special land use standards. We've gone through them, and we believe that we, certainly satisfied those requirements because we're providing substantial benefits to the community through these conditions that we're offering through the site plan and such, the public park, the historical plaza, the screening and such, that basically the benefits outweigh the detriments, any detriments that could result from this project. So we believe that's generally why and how we meet the special land use standards. So next. 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 And let me mention, there are specific standards too, relative to, the fast food use, the drive-through use, and essentially the gas station use, or pardon me, the drive-through, the 24-hour operation, and the gas station use. And we meet all of those. Those are just specific standards that we've satisfied. Next, please. Next. Okay, let's go to the variances. If we could just show this page. I want to make sure this is clear, the variances and how we satisfy the variance requests. I do want to go through this a little bit. The first two variances are to allow a drive-through and a 24-hour operation adjacent to single-family residential. 3 and 4 deal with the monument signs where the fuel pricing is adjacent to both roads. And then number 5 are the wall signs. Next, please. So for the variance criteria, number 1, allowing the drive-through restaurant contiguous to single family. We believe that because this is a large corner lot, it can accommodate the drive-through use. The former bank on the property had a drive-through, and there's plenty of room on this site to provide screening and buffering, which is part of our proposed plan. Now, it's necessary for the preservation of a substantial property right to enable the applicant to operate its restaurant by providing the standard convenience that other restaurants provide. And without a drive-through, we would be at a competitive disadvantage. Next. Now, the drive-through, we believe there's no substantial detriment here because we have a low-volume drive-through compared to McDonald's or other type uses. During our peak period of lunchtime, we estimate about 11 cars per hour are anticipated. McDonald's has 30 or so cars per hour at its peak times. And you can see the menu boards, they're touch screens. They're not amplified sound and speakers. So because this is a corner lot, the size, the configuration and such, and the former drive-through, we believe that and our proposed mixed uses provide the distinction of this site and this property so that granting this variance would not become a precedent. Next. The second is similar to allow a 24 operation contiguous to single family. The exceptional conditions, again, are basically the same type of thing. The configuration of the property, the size of the property, and its location on 2 major roads. The variance allows Sheetz to compete with other late-night drive-through restaurants, gas stations, and convenience stores in the area. Next. We believe because, as David had mentioned, the security cameras, the people on site during the early morning hours and such, and the lower customer traffic, what it does is it encourages, I would say, good behavior and prevents loitering on the site and such. And that actually works to the benefit, we believe, of the entire neighborhood because, we have this monitoring going on in the area, as David said, with our security cameras and with the people on site, in addition to the lights that work to prevent any nefarious activities from occurring. And then also, we don't believe that it would set a precedent for the same reasons. Next, please. So the freestanding signs, as you can see, maybe I can highlight those. One sign would be right here with the gas price, and one would be right here. We have the pedestrian plaza with the historical monument here, so we don't have the ability to put a sign on the corner really. So because the way the property is located at the intersection of 2 major roads and the driveways are far away from each other, we think it would be appropriate to have a regular fuel price sign on both road frontages. Otherwise, people might have difficulty seeing it if it's on one, say it's on Utica and not on 14 Mile Road. They may be looking at the Speedway sign and then want to see our sign. It may cause them to maneuver unsafely on the road. So we want to prevent that from happening. Next. And we believe it's necessary for the preservation of a substantial property right because there are others that have that, like the Speedway station. You see the 2 signs that it has, one on each road. Next. Again, we don't believe there's any substantial detriment. We think it'll make it a safer condition to have 2 signs, make it easier for people to see than having a single sign. And then there won't be precedent set because it's a corner location, 2 major frontages, is not a general condition found on most properties. So for that reason, it wouldn't cause a precedent. Next, please. So number 4 is the setback variance for the freestanding signs. So these signs, the ordinance requires a 70-foot setback, but if we had a 70-foot setback, the sign would be back here, and this sign would be back here. There's not enough room, and it would be too far away from the drivers passing by. The rest of the the signage, the monument signs in this area, the Speedway, the other gas station, and some businesses up and down 14 Mile in Utica, if you look at that, they basically have signage that's about 52 feet away from the center line of the road. So all we're asking here is to, to be treated the same way in a fair manner as the other businesses. Next, please. Again, you can see the Speedway, the distance is about 52 feet. It's not 70 feet. Next. And then we believe that there isn't any detriment caused here because smaller setback will make these signs easier to see for the driving public, and we think it'll be a safer condition. Next, please. So the 5 wall signs, this requires a little bit of explanation. So you see on our front entry, the architectural feature has a sheet sign. I believe this faces 14 Mile Road, and this faces Utica Road, if I'm not mistaken. So you have the 2 identification signs of sheets, and then this says made to order. It's kind of an advertising or promotional sign that lets people know what it is we do on this site. So these are 3 of the signs, and essentially, because of where this property is located, and there are 2 different distinct frontages, and the intended use is a mixed-use building, we believe that these identification signs on the on both streets are appropriate. And also the advertising signs, the 24/7 drive-through, the made-to-order and such are appropriate too, because it allows people driving by to understand what's offered. If they don't know what a Sheetz is, they can see these signs. They know what to expect at this location. Next slide, please. So you can see this is the drive-through side. This is a 24/7 drive-through signage. And then this is the side of the building that has another sheet sign by the entry. So these are the other 2 signs with the 3 that I showed you on the prior elevations comprise the 5 signs. So basically for those reasons, the 2 frontages, the large site, and the fact that people need to identify easily that it's a Sheetz and what it has to offer. We believe that those are justifications for the 5 wall signs instead of the single wall sign that the ordinance allows. And essentially, you have other businesses that aren't on a corner that don't have this mixture of uses that are being offered. They don't need 5 signs. I mean, they essentially can comply with the ordinance requirement, which makes them different from our situation. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that, and then to go over a couple of points that were mentioned earlier. Mr. Farina asked a question about spot zoning. We don't think it's spot zoning because of the fact that this is a commercial district. It's going to be rezoned if we're successful to CG. The current community business district is also a commercial district, and it's going to have a CBD on the south side and a CBD parcel on the west side. Well, what we're proposing here is a conditional rezoning. If you had this type of conditional rezoning, if it was allowed in the CBD, essentially we're still locked into this use and this site plan. So you're still going to have those properties to the south and the property to the west that have to be developed under the CBD unless they do something different and get approval to do so. So what I'm not eloquently saying, I think, is that you're going to have this use locked in regardless of the zoning, and you're still going to have those 2 parcels on the south and the west that are business zone parcels as well. So we don't think it's spot zoning for that reason. And then also, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there was a question about whether there needs to be a masonry wall along the west side of the property. And it was my understanding that since that borders commercial property and not residential property, that there was not a requirement for a masonry wall. So that's why we're proposing some type of substitute fence. But anyway, I just wanted to answer those questions in advance. And that's all I have, unless you guys have anything further. I think we'll step aside for now, and we will take notes and be able to answer questions and
Stay put,
comments.
because I think we have some questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let's clarify the masonry wall. So that it would be the same zoning district between the commercial and commercial, so it doesn't have to be a masonry wall. No comments from the audience, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Sarah.
Yeah, I would, again, I'd have to go back through the ordinance, but it does abut to the south residential.
Okay, so it would be the residential
It
that
would,
we're
yeah.
talking about. Okay, all right. Do you understand, Mr. Gager?
Yes, and I believe there is a
There is
masonry
a
wall against the
masonry wall.
residential.
Correct.
currently.
Okay. Commissioner Farina, you have questions?
Yes, you said when the variance for your 24/7, that it's in line with other businesses in the area? What businesses?
I think what we said is that would give us the opportunity to be open 24/7 to compete with any other late-night businesses that are in the area that are either offering,
What other businesses are in this central business district?
well, I'm not certain that they would be in the central business district. They would obviously be in a business district within the city. So I'm not certain. I haven't canvassed all of the businesses to see what their hours are, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you clarify one thing for me, one of the applicants, if you can? The food service during the evening hours, is the inside also open as well as the drive-through, or is it just only the drive-through?
Yes, to clarify, all of our offerings are offered 24/7, 365.
Okay,
So
inside,
anyone would be able to come inside or up to the drive-through 24/7, 365. And same with our food offering, including breakfast would be offered all hours of the day.
okay. Oh, thank you, Mr. Brockelmeyer. Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant?
I
Commissioner
have a
Meyer?
question. You're suggesting 5 signs on the building. Are you also suggesting signage on the canopy as well?
I believe we were looking to comply with the ordinance on the canopy signage.
And Ms. Sarah, do you know what the ordinance is on canopy signs? Off the cuff, you don't have to worry about it, just, I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I can double check, but I would be pretty sure that would be on the structure, so it'd kind of be a wall sign as well. So
Okay.
it would Probably need additional variance if they wanted to go forward with that.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Go ahead and have your seats. We'll open up the public hearing. Thank you. A reminder with comments will be limited to 5 minutes. Our city attorney is going to be timing, and when you approach the table, I'm going to hold off for a second. I'm going to ask you to state your name and address very clearly so the minute taker can take, the notes. If you have not signed in on the sheet at the back of the, off the chamber, please sign in so we know who is here. If by any chance there are a group of residents represented by their homeowners association, if there is one, I would ask that one representative speak as opposed to, 5 or 6, but that's just a request of mine. Commissioner Farina, go ahead.
Can I make a suggestion that you designate how they're going to come up so you don't
I'm going to say, I would think that if you want to come up, you somehow pretend this is like a church and you make a line and go out and around and back out and try to make it as easy as ever. It's going to be very convoluted, I know.
Yeah, good luck with
We'll
that.
try to direct you, all right? Okay. And we will try to take notes. I asked my colleagues to take notes too, so we can answer your questions after the public hearing is closed, if we can answer them. Okay?
My name is Greg Grunberg. I live at 17540 Wilhelmine. My biggest concern is right now, Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. Canada geese. You're going to put water on that property and a picnic area. Now, this may sound funny and
Please let the
ridiculous.
gentleman speak, and no comments while let's have respect for everyone who comes up to speak, please. Go ahead, Greg.
Anyway, my concern is that the geese are going to eventually show up. And of course, their feces is as big as a dog.
I worked at the GM Tech Center, and we had a lot of places to walk around, but if you did, you had to tiptoe and do the dance in order to walk on their property. And we were also notified that if we did go out and walk, we had to be careful where we walked, because if they had a nest or something, they're vicious. They will come after you. So my concern is they're going to build this pond, and then the geese are going to eventually show up. And then who's going to clean up after those geese? Because their droppings are toxic. I knew a family friend. She had her lawn service quit coming out to her property to cut her lawn because the geese were there. And they would not cut her lawn because they weren't going to spread that feces around and get slapped in the face with it. So she had to find a way to keep them off of her property. But anyway, that is my concern.
Thank you, sir. Next person, please. Let's try to make it as quickly as possible.
Kent Stonebreaker, 32309 Oxford Court. Lot was said about the drive-through at the bank earlier. That drive-through worked 9 to 5 every day and 9 to 12 on the weekends. A 24-hour drive-through we don't have in the city of Fraser, to my knowledge. I don't believe Popeyes has a 24-hour, and I don't believe Rally's does in between Groesbeck and Utica Road. I know McDonald's does, but that's Clinton Township. This isn't Fraser. As well as that, if we're looking to do something for the future of Fraser, for the betterment of Fraser, I hear gas station, but I don't hear anything about EVs. We have a big, serious problem with EVs coming in the future and gas trying to be not there.
Please,
So
no-
I'm trying to
no
understand.
clapping. No clapping.
I'm trying to understand where this is going to benefit us for in the future. I've been in your position. I understand what your job is to do. So I'm not for the rezoning and repurposing without having some idea of what this is going to do for the future. And I'm really not for the 24 hours gas drive-through. Got no problem from 6 until 10. Give it a break at night. I understand all that, but that's where my position is. I don't think we should afford that variance.
Thank you, sir. Next person, please. Go ahead. You can start forming a line if that's helpful, so you know who's next and whatever.
Hi, my name is Sandy Thomas. I'm from Schatz Market, 16659 East 14 Mile Road, Fraser. The issues I have with this property is that, first of all, it doesn't meet the zoning requirements. A community business district is to create more walkable community. This development, I don't think will actually create that. Some other things, gas stations contaminate property. That property right now is not contaminated. Once a gas station goes on site, it will be. We already have 2 gas stations across the street. There are 4 gas stations within a mile. After 8 o'clock, Fraser is a quiet town. Do we really need a 24-hour anything? I don't know if this is the right site for this property. Sheets looks like an amazing company. Their drawings were beautiful. I just don't know if it should be. Is there another 3-acre site they can go on? Groesbeck would be a better property. It's more industrial. There's other brownfield sites already there. And my other concern was the EV. They didn't talk about anything of the future. The future is supposedly EV. Nothing came up about that. One of the things is this a public benefit or interest? Now, we've got gas already in Fraser. There's food in a lot of different places, as well as convenience store items. So I don't, in my opinion, see it that it's a public benefit for the city.
Thank you, ma'am. Next.
Vince Calabrese, 17926 Breezeway, Fraser, Michigan. I don't think we need a huge gas station or another gas station in the heart of Fraser. That's the downtown. That's where the walkability is supposed to be. Communities in Oakland County, Detroit, Michigan, Wayne County, everywhere, they're trying to create walkability to their downtown districts so that people can enjoy it. We're going to have a in-road and an in and exit at this huge gas station and the restaurant, which is, I don't know how that's going to impact positively people walking on 14 Mile Road with their dog, their cats, their children, whatever. But I think you're trying to jam too much into, you're trying to jam 10 pounds in a 5-pound box. We don't need another gas station in downtown Fraser. There's an empty gas station right across the street from this building. Why don't you put one there? It's been empty for 25 years. I just think it'd be a lot more simple for everybody. They can continue living our humdrum life in our little community and be happy and still be able to walk around with less chance of getting run over by increased traffic flow. And as far as it's not the business that worries me about being open 24/7. It's the people that use those businesses. I'm sure the businesses have trained their teams to follow a certain protocol, their standards and the community standards, but their customers don't. Most customers barely have manners or say thank you or please. So the chaos at 3:30 in the morning pulling hole shots, it's going to happen. It's going to happen every night. It'll be a different time, but it's not you that will be the cause of that, but you'll bear the brunt of it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I am going to ask the audience, please, no clapping. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Paul Salufo, 31640 Ciro Avenue, Fraser. What I've heard tonight and what I've read, actually, is that the variances that they're asking for, in other words, there's a total, when I counted tonight, is 5 of them. So they don't meet our requirements for that property usage. It's not part of our master plan. It isn't something that has been lobbied for by the residents of this community. I don't think we actually need another fast food restaurant. And more importantly, once this is developed as Sheets suggests it's developed, and it, by chance, and I know this probably isn't the case right now, but they do go belly up, the repurpose of that property is going to be extremely hard. And I'm not talking just about mediation. I'm talking about the buildings that are on the site and what they've done with that particular parcel as far as what they need it to do so that they can make money. They're not here because, and I believe this anyhow, they're not here because they want to be good friends to the city of Fraser. They're looking for an opportunity to foster their business at our expense. And unfortunately, this board is actually part of a group of people that get together for a very small amount of money and come forward with their best ideas in the best interest of the residents for pennies to do this job. And I understand that this board just recently put through a master plan, and that master plan does not have anything like this in it. So I would appreciate if you would all think about that very carefully before you go ahead and give your consideration for council. And I will be talking to my council members about this too. Thank you very much.
Hello, how's it going? Happy New Year's, by the way. My name is Matthew. My family owns the mobile gas station on 14 Utica in the corner. I want to say that we purchased the station about 3.5 years ago. We actually tried implementing the 24-hour thing, but the city of Fraser dies out, like Shots Market said, around 8 to 9. There's no more traffic, and the traffic that was coming later at night was not the traffic that you want inside of your business or in your community. I've grown to love this community. It's a very tight-knit, hospitable community. If you treat them right, they'll come and support you. And I don't feel like an outside company that's worth billions of dollars has this community's best interest in mind with a 24-hour station when there's already 2, you know. I understand that my family has a station across the street, but if you, a quick 2 seconds, if you pull up Google Maps and put gas station near me, within a 3-mile radius, there's over 20 gas stations. The city does not need another gas station, but it needs something, but not a gas station, I'll tell you that. Thank you again for your time.
Hello, my name is Christian Lucido, 16605 Rosemary Avenue. First wanted to point out that one of their pictures on their slide already had a piece of garbage on it. It was a storefront. I also wanted to point out there was oil stains up there. That's a picture that they're presenting to this group today. I have a number of concerns here. I'm going to do my best to just go right off of this. I could be going on for hours about this. So first, to start it off, constant fumes from the fuel pumps. Yes, there are pumps across 14 Mile, but these pumps will be considerably closer to houses on the south of 14. My children, along with my neighbors' children, health in the surrounding areas becomes a concern to me. This intersection already has 2 gas stations. This is already a very busy intersection with its own problems. I can see this site from my kitchen window. 2-3 times a month, I'm already telling you that I see emergency lights out there, whether it be an accident or some other situation going on out there. I believe that this will make it an even more dangerous intersection. Increase in garbage, pollution, noise, increased lighting, and an increase in the possibility of land pollution with the addition of a 3rd gas station at the same intersection. The growing rat problem is also a concern to me. The other day before I drove up here, I had a dead rat in front of my house on the street. I took a picture of it and I actually showed Bob Logan. It's disgusting and it's not going to help that situation of ours. The added detention pond can also attract rodents, other animals such as geese, which has already been mentioned, that can defecate all over. I believe seeing an increase in mosquitoes with the installation retention pond as well. This is something you'd see off of Gratiot or Groesbeck Highway. It looks like a mini gas station or a mini truck stop to me. This is a 24 operation, has potential to attract a rough crowd. Nothing good happens to 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. I'd rather not have a location that could attract drunk strangers at all hours of the night. This is also a safety concern for me. Property values in the area would depreciate accordingly if a 24-hour fast food gas station is allowed to operate. I'm not sure how claims of improving traffic flow can be made at an already dangerously busy intersection. I don't see any EV chargers on the plans. I assume Sheets is aware of the push for EVs. Is there a plan to install these in the future? And if so, where on your plan? What is the special land use variance request? They did go through that, so I appreciate the clarity on that. How much advertising is to be done to try and attract more potential customers that do not live directly in the city alone? Lastly, the rezoning is approved. Are there already supplied plans going to be different than what actually is built? Another slide of theirs already had a lack of privacy trees right in front of my backyard. So that was already a difference that I noticed. If this is allowed to go through somehow, which I please hope everybody here sees how many residents are here and it resonates to you guys. Do not allow 24 hours of operation. Please move the location of the pumps to the north side of the building. It's not going to help much, but it's away from the families. Construct a new, taller wall with 4 to 5 foot berms with greenage on top of them. Please, matured greenage, not something that takes 5 plus 10 years to grow. Closing. The city should be looking out for the safety of their residents. Adding a 24-hour fast food drive-through and 3rd gas station to an already congested intersection that has enough problems as is doesn't sound to be in best interest of the residents one bit. I feel that the section of 14 Mile Road between Utica and Garfield has potential to develop in a nice small Fraser downtown area. And truthfully, I don't think a 24-hour fast food gas station adds to that appeal one bit. I would consider looking at other successful downtown areas that draw in and act as a meeting ground for those residents. I look at Sinclair Shores and what they have done with the Greater Mac area, hosting the social district once a month in the warmer months. This event has seemingly flourished and viewed upon, thank you, viewed upon in a positive manner, bringing residents together and giving the local government and local true mom and pop businesses a chance to participate in. Thank you for your time.
My name is Pat Harris, address 15863 Kingston, for 46 years. When my husband and I moved to this community, we moved here because it had the flavor of a small town. Fraser's been like that for years. They have 2nd and 3rd generation families living in this town. This development is not a good thing for our town. We are surrounded by suburbs that are much larger, that have much larger commercial areas that would be more well-suited to this. Further, there's one restaurant that I know of that's open 24 hours in this city, and it's a restaurant, and it's Ramshorn at the corner of Utica and Masonic. None of the fast food is, etc. The small town flavor is going away. First of all, how many gas pumps are at that fuel station? 8? Are they double-sided pumps? Does that mean 16? How many of those pumps are diesel? Have you ever witnessed how much noise diesel trucks and diesel motorhomes make? I know, I own a diesel motorhome, but we fuel it outside of this city. I think this is an absolutely unbelievable slap in the face at Fraser. I'm not saying Sheetz is a bad company. I have never been to a Sheetz. We travel extensively in the United States. Been in Ohio many, many times for softball tournaments, etc. I've never seen a Sheetz. And I am not happy that one of them is coming to Fraser, supposedly. They're a good company. I just don't want them. They are not going to add anything to the community of Fraser. I've lived here for 46 years. I have never felt the need for a 24-hour gas station or a 24-hour restaurant. Has anybody thought about the lighting from that fuel island? We have a neighbor that has a LED light on the back of his utility building, which is right at his back lot line. It is shaded. He did that about 20 years ago as an irritant to us. However, what he didn't realize was our bedroom's on the front of the house. And it lights up our backyard and gives us total security back there. So it's been a real asset for us. Randy knows all about it. I just hope that you will consider all the points of these very hardworking citizens that live in this beautiful town. And I don't want to see it lose that atmosphere. Thank you.
Hello, Jim Chandler, 31559 Elodie, which is on the south side of Fraser. I have no quarrel with Sheetz. They're a private company. A private company sold the land to another private company. That's America. One thing I haven't heard addressed is there will be this detention pond, and whether it has a fence or not, if somebody, God forbid, does drown, if a car does go in and somebody does perish, who would be responsible? Would it be Sheetz or would it be the city of Fraser? And if it's the city of Fraser, how could we possibly afford the lawsuit that would necessarily come out of that? So that's my one question. The other thing, they've already addressed the geese, and believe me, I grew up wanting to be an ornithologist. I know all about geese, and that picnic area is not going to be much of a picnic area. And the park that they're talking about is probably no bigger than my yard. I mean, 300 or 100 by 30 feet, it's like 3,000 square feet isn't a lot of space. And I do appreciate they want to grow. I do understand, and it's been brought up, that it is a large footprint. And God forbid, somebody already mentioned this, if they go belly up, and we've seen companies overexpand, CVS, Big Boy, Kmart, I mean, the list goes on. What happens if Sheetz does go defunct? What happens to that property? Who's going to want it? I mean, you'd have to not only do all the digging up of all the gas lines and all the underground tanks and all that stuff, but it's a huge footprint. And, God forbid, I don't want to stand in the way of anybody, trying to make their living in America, but, maybe it's not in the best spot. And I don't have a problem with Sheetz going anywhere else in Fraser. I've never seen an intersection with 3 gas stations, unless it's coming off the interstate and into the exchange. I mean, it just seems ludicrous to me to 3 gas stations. I mean, my God, I can't even see how Mobile and Speedway don't get into a Hatfield and McCoy thing over their, struggles. And now we're going to have another one. It's like, I don't know. I'm not a business person. And the other thing about the lights, I mean, I live up close by the schoolyard where the school buses are, and St. Cyril there, or what used to be Queen Mary of Hope, the lights are outrageous, those LED lights. I don't understand how the people can even get up and look out their windows without being blinded. Luckily, we're on the backside of that, so that's something else to consider. And that's all I pretty much wanted to say.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Come on forward.
Good evening. My name is Frank Beretta, 46499 Snowbird Drive, Macomb, Michigan. My family's lived in Fraser there behind on Rosemary for the last over 30 years or so, since 1974. And I'm really concerned what's going on there. That was a small town, beautiful area. My grandkids are going to be growing up there now. And I'm really concerned with the gas station and the pond. The pond, it's going to be contaminated with fuel, okay? It's not like a park. It's really literally runoff fuel and water that comes from the gas station. They're making it sound like Fraser's Rosemary Street is flooding and that's going to help their situation. I'm totally against that. As far as the geese, they're going to probably die from the contaminated water. My grandkids, I hate to see them go into that pond and something happen, okay? Or for that matter, anyone else. There's been a situation at a Kroger on 19 Mile and Shaner where a car went into the pond and the people died, all right, if I can remember correctly. So I think it's a big mistake. I'm totally against it. You people need to really consider this. As a small town, like a lot of people have said, it should be kept that way. It's just a truck stop, okay? Diesel vehicles and a bad crowd that it's going to bring after 10 o'clock in the morning. Nothing but trouble, all right? And my kids and grandkids have to live behind that and deal with it night and day. So I'm totally against it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Emma Stasik, and I live at 16430 Wood Lane. I'm a newer resident to Fraser, and me and mine recently decided to commit to this community probably for the rest of our lives. And we're really excited about that. And one of the things that I really love is like the rich little bit of history that this community represents. And I think it's interesting that twice over, the community burnt to the ground. And, you know, this bank building that we have is a little slice of history that sort of stands for where we come from as a community. And it'd be really great if, you know, future development kind of took that into consideration in a more meaningful way, besides just dismembering the building and incorporating portions of it into a park setting. You know, some of the questions that I have about this particular development is how does it differentiate Fraser as a community? And kind of piggybacking off of some of the other comments that others made, you know, it's really easy to get drowned out in just like suburbia. You've got these huge cities all around us. Like, what are we going to do that makes our 4 square mile town special? And I think that, you know, being more intentional with how we manage our DDA, and, you know, I apologize, I'm not sure the extent of that organization. I'd like to be more involved. But, you know, how are we thinking about our community long term to really make a difference, not only in people's lives, you know, as residents, but also in the surrounding areas? You know, and I'm questioning how this particular development aligns with our long-term goals and vision. I'm curious the true benefit that it brings to the community, and I'm wondering if it will take away from existing businesses. And, you know, ideally, I think that there's a lot of opportunity to receive grants on a state and federal basis that would give us the ability to more carefully consider, you know, how we're going to enrich the community, as well as support long-term goals that take into consideration economic innovation, wellness, and diversity, as well as sustainability. And when I say diversity and sustainability, I really want to focus more on diverse revenue streams as well as sustainable revenue streams. So I think that those are things that we can accomplish in our special little 4 square miles. And thank you very much for the
Can I
time.
ask you your name one more time?
Emma Stasek.
Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Andrew Mezen. I am a resident at 16532 Rosemary Avenue. I don't think this gas station has a place in Fraser. We are trying to develop the town into more walkable, trying to attract more residents, and I don't think that's going to do that. I can't think of any cities, St. Clair Shores, downtown Rochester Hills, that are filled with gas stations to bring residents there. We are adding a retention pond. I only see this attracting pests. Geese have been mentioned, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes love sitting water, and that's exactly what it's going to be. As a resident of Rosemary, I'm also kind of sad to hear that we were to be contacted to talk about possible development plans, but I don't know if we're on the cutoff. I actually see my house in that rendering, and I've never received a letter, and here we are at the hearing. I don't think this has any place in Fraser, just even hearing what they said. There's already 2 gas stations there, and we're trying to develop and grow the city, and I don't see this attracting any more people to our town.
Thank you.
Do you live on the side of the street that butts up to the gas station?
I don't, but I can actually,
Side of the street? Okay.
yeah, I live across the street, but I can see actually the speedway through the trees right now.
No notice you received?
No, no notice.
Not from the city either, just,
I received a notice from the city. I do have that letter, but
you didn't get a letter from the applicant.
correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Anybody else? Just come on forward, thank you.
Lisa Acker, 16595 Rosemary. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to speak on the proposed changes to our neighborhood and community. I have been a resident of Fraser for over 20 years. This small but mighty town won our hearts. We bought our first home here, which we're still in, and we started our family in it. I'm dismayed at the possibility that changing our community will become drastically worse. Health and environmental safety issues for my family and neighbors are top of my list, with my property value decreasing at a very close second. We have chosen to remain in Fraser because we love our little city and feel safe here. I cannot imagine living anywhere else, and the possibility of rezoning has allowed the thoughts of moving for health and safety reasons a mere reality now. I feel this proposal came out of nowhere. I understand the Planning Commission met its obligation of notice within 15 days, and we respect that, but it happened over the holidays. I feel it's rushed, and I feel with the McKenna Conditional Rezoning Review Summary only becoming available to us recently has more questions than answers. I am more disappointed to think that no one has taken into consideration that there will be a neighborhood of children living and playing near a gas station. Under Section G of the Special Standards for Land Use, more specifically, the proposed use is so designated, located, planned, and to be operated that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected. The McKenna report simply rewrites what the applicant states what they will do rather than weigh in on the benefit for the public. Let's treat public and residents as the same. Nowhere does it mention the negative effects of gas station, fumes, and underground storage tanks on surrounding neighborhoods. There's not a single instance on this report that discusses underground storage tanks and its impact on the city. What's the EPA stance on this? What guarantee can the applicant, the landowner, and the city provide for our families? We have 2 young daughters, and I will do anything to protect them. How many of you are parents and want the same for your families? You might not live on Rosemary, but you would do what you could for your families. By volunteering on this commission, you also take an oath to do what's best for the citizens of Fraser, and those 2 girls of mine are included. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicole Valen, 32369 Norwich Court. Sorry.
You choke me up. I moved here from Roseville because my son goes to Fraser. I chose Fraser over Roseville. I lived in Gas Station Alley. Okay, there's plenty of gas stations along Groesbeck off where I lived. I've worked at gas stations, numerous ones, truck stops too. I know the litter. I know the misbehavior. Are they gonna sell alcohol? Because I guarantee you that back lot there will be covered in glass. Who's cleaning that up? And not to mention the back lot where it's covered in glass is probably because somebody's back there drinking. I know they talk about having cameras. I see all kinds of hiding spots where I can go hide and do illicit things. How busy does Fraser Police want to be? Rolling through at 3 o'clock in the morning again because a neighbor called and heard something going on back there. Yes, they talk about the off-site security, but how many people are working overnight? 3? Maybe? They're not outside patrolling. And that off-site security, they're gonna get on a PA system and say, please leave? This person doing heroin? I feel bad for the people along Rosemary. What are they gonna find in their backyards? And the pests, and the rodents, and how many tanks will go in there? I grew up in Richmond. They have a piece of property for sale from a gas station they cannot sell because the cost to remediate that land is price exorbitant. Nobody wants that. There's already 2 other places. How do we want that entire section to be polluted in 30, 40 years? I'd like my son to inherit my house and not have to worry about his taxes going up for an EPA removal site. We already have enough issues. I'm not against gas stations. I think we've got plenty. I'm not against sheets either. I think this part of Fraser is beautiful. I like the historical aspect. That's not walkable. Where am I walking? Across the parking lot? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Hello. Name is Mark, last name Nadolski. I live at 32680 Newman. And so it was kind of interesting because I work with a lot of commercial businesses and I work with a lot of chain stores. And so when I saw sheets show up, I said, wow, that sounds familiar, because I've went and worked in the areas that they have the majority of their stores. And I came into the city office and looked at the rendition, which is just a rendition. It's not a final plan, which could be changed. I think they'll approve it and then it's changed afterwards so the people would not, approve or know the final changes on it. I'm not too sure. That's just a question. So I sat and I said, wow, this is interesting. So I live in a 2-story house because I'm the back lot of the subdivision by Rosemary, and so I can see pretty much that intersection from my upper story. So there is an upper story that oversees that area. And I said to myself, wow, first of all, I see 2 gas stations and I go, a 3rd gas station, that's interesting. I don't see that too often in a small town, let alone in a large area. Sometimes we do. And then I said 24 hours, and I said, wow, that's interesting, because like everybody's mentioned, you get a crowd, people are young, and they do different stuff. They're in a different, way of life at that point, and of course it will bring the crowd in there. I mean, I've stayed at a lot of hotels, and near the hotels are gas stations, and so,
you go and you go somewhere to buy pop or something, you go there and you see the crowd that's there. And or I'm sitting in a hotel and there's fast food joints. And so all kinds of people are doing all kinds of stuff, including throwing their litter all over the place, Some people might go on that property and do something that's not proper, or they may go down my street, which is the next street to that corner, Rosemary, the street there. And then, I sat there and I said, wow, okay, so I'm there, and I built a nice house there, and I'm looking. And one thing that we've learned is that I lived in a different area in Fraser, and then I moved to Newman after that. So I continued to stay in Fraser, but we had our kids were younger, and we walked all those streets. And I will tell you that we've been able to see a lot of people, not a lot of people, almost everybody keep up their property. I was amazed. Some of these people are out there every day cleaning the property up. And the streets that I would be on are the streets nearest to the gas station, And I just said, wow, who's going to be picking up that litter? Now, I have a couple buildings in Detroit, and there's a party store that's I would say within 100 feet of my property, and I've picked up, I would say, thousands of bottles, and I've picked up condoms, and I picked up needles, and you name it. I've picked up stuff.
You have 1 minute.
After the years. So one thing that I've learned is that I went and Googled Earth, the sheets, because I knew they were in different areas, okay? So when I Googled it, there's no condition, no area that has the circumstances we have. So when I looked at it, I Googled 27 stores. I made a map of them all, and in Ohio and one in Indiana. And when I looked it up, there's commercial property, there's industrial properties, there's expressways, but there's no small town. I don't see them in a small town location. In addition to that, I only saw out of those 6 stores, one area where there was a residential backed up to the border, the back of the gas station. It was on the very corner. It was a rural area. They had a huge lot at that point, and so it was.
That's time.
It was it. So I again, I don't. This is an experiment because it hasn't. I have not seen it been done before. All right, thanks.
We have more people coming forward? Okay. That's okay. There's probably more than one, so.
Hello, Planning Commission. Mike Parrott, 15942 Kingston. I echo everything else that these people have said. That's the last place that I can see a gas station going in Fraser. Nothing against Sheets. I mean, they're in business like a lot of us, but that's the last place. I originally came here to really talk more about hoping that there was a way to get a reprieve, whether it was a Sheets proposal or something else for that bank, because no one's really talking about how great that bank is. One of my best friends is Brian Steffens, who Steffens, if you read the history of Fraser, he was the president of that bank, his relative. Owned the Steffens Lumberyard, owned a lot of things in Fraser, the Chevy dealership. I told him about it today. He lives in Macomb Township. He's a descendant. And he was like, you guys could not get a buyer for that beautiful bank. I mean, he couldn't believe it. And he was telling me, that's got, 3 different kinds of marble in that bank. He said that has to be some type of restaurant. And I told him the library was interested. And he said, so couldn't the library work something out where it could be a unique library/retail type of environment? So I think the only thing I want to leave here, because I can only echo what everybody else said, that's not the spot for a big gas station. You got 2 across the street, right? And there's residential there. It's just not the spot. But I think you have a hard job. I think you come out as heroes if that space does get utilized the right way. Hopefully, it's not taking that bank down. I mean, I will help. You have my name. I will help, form an action committee to try to find different venues. I mean, I have some sources to look into different things. I just found out about this a couple days ago, that was going to be a gas station area, and it blew my mind. I couldn't sleep last night. So it's important to people here in Fraser, and you guys know that. You have more history here than I probably do. My wife grew up here. I've been here 25 years. Kids went to high school here, so or all years of school. So anyway, yeah. So it's really important, and you know it all. So
Thank you,
thank
Mike.
you.
Thank you for your comments.
My name's Colette Nicholson, 16250 Gordon. Didn't really plan on talking, but I just have all this on my mind. I'm on Gordon, which he was saying he lives at the end of Newman, is that little street that cuts off of Rosemary. And right now, when I'm coming out of my subdivision, my street, I can barely get across Utica Road with all the traffic coming from 14 Mile all the way down to Masonic. If we have this gas station, there's going to be so much more traffic that's going to back up on Utica. And talk about line of sight. You can barely, when the traffic clears out of the traffic lights right now, you have to sit there for a good 5 minutes. I can just see people coming in and out of that gas station going towards Groesbeck. I will never be able to get out my sub, or more of the accidents that are going to happen. And like they said, you won't be able to walk across the street, or, the increased traffic at that intersection is going to, and then like the times where school comes out, Utica is at a standstill. That Utica Road is never going to move. And then the other thing he had mentioned, I don't know what type of food they're going to be serving, but prime food or what have you. I mean, we're a working class neighborhood. I don't know what kind of clientele he thinks he's going to get that we can really afford this, prime food 24/7. It would have been nice if they told us what kind of, convenient food they were going to serve. And then with the retention pond, I can just see what happens, or detention, what if it overflows? We're already having problems. I'm Gordon myself, and with the construction of this detention pond and the construction of the gas station and all the building and concrete tearing up, how is that going to affect those old cracks and infrastructure that they've already, something happened when they redid Fruhoff to our neighborhoods that our water backs up through our sewers now in the streets. When they go trying to tear up all this construction, how is that going to affect all the new sewer system that is currently there, that it's not going to destroy it? Because they said somewhere down the line, the heavy equipment damaged a lot of the sewer piping on these side streets because they had to bring big equipment in. So I can't see, and if a detention pond was a solution to flooding, why hasn't the city looked into something like that prior to this? That would have resolved some of this flooding issue. And then I can also see people coming from Fruhoff down Rosemary to get to the drive-through off of Utica to, go to this gas station so that they don't have to come off of 14 Mile. And that itself is going to be terrible for the residents of Rosemary. And then we have people flying down our street, Gordon, which there's no outlet. I can just see traffic coming up and down through Rosemary, even increase even worse. And like they said, with these young children here, I think it's going to be a nightmare, and I really don't see, are we residents going to get lower tax rates for the benefit of this new revenue coming in? Is our water rates going to go down? I just don't think it's a good idea.
Don't count on that, Colette. Okay.
Right, I'm just saying, so like I said, I don't see the benefit of Fraser having this new, on the corner that we, like you said, the hometown, we don't need big lights on a corner of our hometown. Thank you.
Thank you, Colette.
Hi, my name is Yusuf Francis. I work at the Mobile on 14 in Utica, and based off what they mentioned about the traffic and lights and all the cars piling up, I've actually had to call the police a bunch of times during late night times on some customers because they got out of line, decided to do stuff they weren't supposed to do. I honestly just don't see any pros with this project. There's more cons than pros, right? What is this doing for Fraser? You know, it's this behemoth, building that's a gas station that's going to be there that doesn't help no one besides gas, food. I mean, there's a bunch of that around, right? Clearly, there's 2 gas stations in the corner. I just think that area could be used for a much better purpose. I'm not a resident in Fraser, but I've spent a lot of time in Fraser. I've hosted multiple tournaments at Total Soccer, so I'm very familiar with the area. And I just think that is, Sheets looks great, sounds great. Not trying to hammer them or anything. It just doesn't make sense in a small town like this. Not a good idea at all, for like its residents at least. There's no pros, it's mostly cons, and as the applicant had mentioned, previous meetings he's watched, he never seen as much people show up, Clearly, you got a crowd outside, that showed up. So volume speaks, right? And not to mention the drive-through too. The drive-through, a lot of people are going to be beeping those horns behind those houses. Somebody's going to be taking too long, someone's going to get mad and beep. And Joe's going to wake up from his sleep, when he has work in the morning. So I just think it's not a good idea, and it shouldn't happen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Miranda Watson. I live at 17141 East 14 Mile Road. I have some major concerns with traffic flow. My kids go to school across the street, and I drive that stretch of road 2 to 3 times a day, and I cannot tell you how many times I see people run that red light. I am extremely concerned about the amount of accidents that are going to happen at the intersection. Also, to children walking to school, just the increase of traffic in there. I have been to Sheets in other states, and I know the kind of food that they serve. It is delicious. Their stores are clean, but why do we need to have a 24-hour drive-through when they're only getting 11 cars at their peak hours? My other concern is when I go to Sheets in Pennsylvania, they do not serve. They sell alcohol. Are you going to be selling alcohol 24 hours, 365? I'm not quite sure what the laws in Michigan are, if there is any, about selling alcohol between certain hours, but that's a concern of mine. What's to stop someone from going into Sheets at 3 a.m., buying alcohol, and then going in the back and getting drunk? To me, it doesn't seem worth it, even though I enjoy Sheets whenever we go to Pennsylvania. I mean, that's usually one of our first stops. But I just don't think that this is a good location. I think it would be better on Gratiot or on Groesbeck, where there's a larger street to hold the flow of traffic. I mean, it's just a very busy intersection, and I just have a lot of concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina.
Hello, my name is Fadi Akam. I'm the owner of the car wash on 32660 Utica Road. I was sitting in the seat a couple months ago trying to get my site plan approved. My car wash was open 24 hours, 365. There was a reason why I decided to close it and redevelop a mini plaza. After hours, after 8 o'clock, after 9 o'clock, I never gained any business. There was no benefit to my business. The only traffic that I got was people hanging out in the bays, drinking, smoking, doing all type of things. They were just trashing the place, leaving. I would come the next day in the morning, I would have to clean it up. We are already affected by the traffic on Utica Road. I could speak on behalf of the surrounding businesses on Utica Road that get affected from the traffic going north and south. with this big project taking place at the corner of 14 Mile and Utica, I feel like it's going to generate more traffic. I don't think it's just going to take from the traffic that's there. A lot of people would want to come and try it out, so that's going to add to all the traffic that we already have. I'm already losing business from people deciding not to turn and wash their car in my car wash because they don't want to hold up the line. They don't want to cause a scene, so they would just drive to the next car wash. I could say the same thing for the other businesses in the area, the liquor stores. Everybody gets affected from that traffic. We don't want to add extra traffic on Utica Road. It's a great concept. It's something that Michigan never had seen, but I feel like a small town and a small intersection does not need a big gas station like that. Groesbeck would be a perfect fit for them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Greg Acker, 16595 Rosemary. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak here this evening. I've been a Fraser resident for more than 20 years. My wife and I moved here specifically for the small town feel and the city's reputation for being a safe place to live and raise a family. I'm here this evening to share my concerns regarding the Sheets location being proposed at the corner of Utica and 14 Mile. My property directly butts up against this site. This project will be an obnoxious intrusion on our quiet neighborhood. It will draw thousands of people from neighboring areas, and it will do so at all hours of the day and night. This will make our homes and neighborhoods less safe. It will drive down property values. It will expose our children to harmful fumes and toxins that are known to cause childhood cancers. It will lead to increased crime in our small community. It will lead to environmental issues and increased pests. And no matter what steps are taken to insulate us, we will hear, smell, and see this store constantly. In regards to the security, I would like to point out, just 4 days ago, an off-duty police officer was tragically killed at a Sheets location in North Carolina. He did this while trying to stop 3 criminals from stealing $83 worth of beer. I realize these things happen at 24-hour convenience stores. They can happen anywhere. But why would we bring a store to downtown Fraser that brings with it any of these risks, let alone place it directly next to a residential neighborhood? Sheets security could not prevent this tragedy. Sheets is asking the city to make numerous exceptions to the zoning codes in order to accommodate this project. The same very codes which were put in place to protect the lives and property of the residents who currently live here. They aren't asking for a small exception. They're asking for exceptions to be made to allow the property to be rezoned from central business to commercial general, for a 24-hour operation, a fast food restaurant, a gas station, a drive-through, multiple freestanding signs, and they'd like all this to happen directly adjacent to a residential neighborhood. I remind you, these zoning rules exist to protect us. Fraser Planning Committee meetings are begun by reading a statement which governs the direction of the committee. It states the spirit of the code must be observed, public safety must be secured, and substantial justice must be done. Nothing about this project will keep us safe. In fact, the only possible impact this project could have would be detrimental to our safety. This most assuredly does not feel like justice. I recently read Mayor Leasik's statement regarding an empty building not serving the city well. But please don't be so desperate to put something in that location that you're willing to put just anything in that location. Regarding other statements made by city council members, I realize residents of Rosemary chose to move in next to a commercial property, but it was and is zoned for business commercial, not general commercial. I expected that if the bank ever closed, the city would be sensible enough to replace the bank with a similar 9-to-5 business, something like a medical office. I never could have expected the city would consider rezoning the lot to allow for a 24-hour fast food, gas station, and convenience store. I never would have bought this property otherwise. If this project goes through, you'll leave us no choice but to move. Sheets, the members of this committee, and members of the city council will chase us from our home of more than 20 years, where we've raised our family and shared wonderful memories. And if we cannot sell our house for its full value because of this project, then our home will become yet another rental property in Fraser. I cannot allow my children to grow up adjacent to a building that will poison them. In conclusion, I hope the city comes to realize what a terrible mistake this project would be and denies this and all appeals from Sheets. I ask that if you're not prepared to reject the appeal outright, you at least postpone the decision for 90 days so we can research the health impact of the project and explore legal options to prevent the project altogether. Thank you.
Sir, just for my benefit, can you repeat your name for me, please? Craig, thank you. Anybody else who wants to speak, please? Anybody from the outside? Anybody want to speak? Public hearing? Come on up.
Hello, my name is Mark Richter. I live at 16330 Gordon. I started kindergarten in the 60s at Emerson Elementary. I'm older than I think. I've seen a lot of stuff in this city, but this is the first time I ever come to one of these planning meetings because nothing ever this atrocious has ever happened in this city before. This is a bad idea for the city, for the residents, and for Sheets. This is not the proper location for this. If it was, we wouldn't have to do all this zoning changing. You're trying to shoehorn this in there. I've been to Sheets. I like Sheets. When I go to Pennsylvania, it's cool. Okay, it'd be great to have one in Fraser, but not in this location. That building is special, and besides that, it's the wrong spot for it. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit. Groesbeck would be a great place for it. Sheets says on their website they want construction workers, they want road warriors, and they want soccer moms. You're going to find all those on Groesbeck, a lot more of them than you will on 14 and Utica. I didn't check the numbers, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot more vehicle traffic on Groesbeck than there is on 14 and Utica combined. They need to find a new real estate agent. This is not the right location. I went using Google Lens, the miracle tool, and I took an image of the bank and I said, find me another building like this, because I couldn't think of one. And you know what? Google couldn't come up with one. There's no other building like that in the world. Not that I can tell. But look at Hopkinsville, Kentucky. In Hopkinsville, Kentucky, they had a white elephant bank, similar to this. I didn't check all the information because I was short on time. But what Hopkinsville did was they took it, they renovated that building, and they turned it into apartments and a bunch of other stuff. And this was decades ago, and it's successful. I believe it was 2007 they did that. Maybe the city should be looking into that. Maybe we should revisit the library, possibly taking over that building. Sheets is from Altoona, Pennsylvania, cold country, not exactly an environmentally friendly place. I don't, how come they're not having provisions to put in EV chargers? That doesn't make sense. Do we even have the capacity to hook up EV chargers, superchargers there? I don't even know. Are they going to add in later? Are they thinking that copper is going to take a dump in price? Is it going to be cheaper 10 years from now to put copper in for their chargers? I don't know. None of this makes sense to me. None of it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Did you already spoke, though? Yeah. One time, that's it. Okay, sorry.
Hello, my name is Peter McFadden. I'm a 10-year resident. We moved here for the schools. I had a daughter graduate, 81, one in school right now. She's in the band. She's in color guard. She's living a great life with school. That's where we moved. We are right from Emerson, right down the street from them. And every morning, all the moms, all the dads, and all the buses pack the streets. I'm one of the people that put up the little markers on the grass so they don't park on my stuff, because there's so many parents that are coming to this city with their children, and they don't need a truck stop. What do you see up there? That's a truck stop. I go all the way up to Newberry and back, and I go past the first couple exits and stop in there. And how do I know it's there? The big beam of light. I'm on Admiral. I just came here, looked up into the nice, dark, beautiful city we live in, and that would be gone. There would be no Fraser or Charm. It would be a truck stop. Sheetz is great. God bless America. I'm the only one on my block that flies a flag. I'm also a radical and all that stuff, according to other people. But that's another story. But it's a truck stop that our city and my children, who are still in school, don't need to deal with. It's amazing. When this city is so big, the traffic is so intense, it takes the EMS to get, you can hear whee, and it takes them 5 minutes just to get through the traffic in the city now. It's obscene what to do, and that's not Fraser, Charm. It's not a nice city. It's not welcomed by me. My vote is no on a truck stop in Fraser. God bless America.
Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
Hi. I gotta catch my breath a minute. I just rushed down here with the audio problem. I was up in Richmond watching somebody FaceTime the meeting. Anyway, I'm Deanna Reiner, 15569 Luxembourg. Excuse me. Literally out of breath trying, because I knew that the comments were almost over. Just real quick. My concern too is that location on how it was picked. I purposely, with even the two gas stations, I usually have to make a right turn to get in, right turn to get out, so I plan ahead when I get gas. It's hard on busy times of the day to make a left-hand turn out of the gas stations already. And I guess part of my concern is on how that location was chosen. And again, this may have already been brought up, but I couldn't listen because the audio was gone. But my concern is, what about the small businesses that have been here? The two gas stations that are there, Speedway's been there for years, well-established. Mobile, which are probably the other gas station that will face the most competition. And again, that's been here forever. I shouldn't say forever, but Foster's started it. They've been here, so why would a big company with all the studies they do, could more than likely possibly put two other small businesses out of business to bring their business in. So that's my big concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wants to speak? Anybody in the hallway? Anybody in the audience? Are we clear? No one? Okay, anybody else in the audience? Okay, I will close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. I will try to address some of the comments or questions, and I ask my colleagues here to help me a little bit. Go ahead. No, we're gonna address them now as best as we can. Okay. Um,
You want me to start?
Do you want to start? Go ahead, Mr. Farina, Commissioner Farina.
I think the first thing that people asked was geese, the problem with pollution of the detention pond. How will that be mitigated?
Can we please be quiet? Okay, thank you.
So in regards to the geese issue, more than likely, this detention pond will be what's referred to as a dry pond. In other words, when it rains, the pond will fill up with water, but it will be so designed as to drain empty within 24 to 48 hours after the storm is over with. So you will not have standing water in that pond all the time. During dry periods in August and those months, it'll probably just look like a big grassy bowl. I don't really anticipate you'll see a lot of geese. Mosquitoes can be mitigated by the addition of simple pellets to the water, but again, if the water is draining out within 48 hours, it's not going to grow a lot of mosquitoes. In regards to the pollution from the parking lot going into the pond, there are draconian regulations in place that govern what actions have to be taken when a fuel spill happens in a modern gas station. So the amount of gasoline entering that pond is going to be minimal, if any. And David could actually probably talk more about the spill response that are required for the operation of a store like Sheetz and what they do to prevent pollution from entering the storm system.
Thank you, Becky. A couple of things I'd like to start off with. First of all, as a first action response, our employees are trained to use an on-site spill kit. So say if somebody comes out there and accidentally spills 5 or 10 gallons of gas. We have an on-site spill kit that is ready to go and be deployed and trained personnel to use that. So that's going to first off help protect the stormwater system. Second off, we use quite a few measures to try to protect our own storm system because it is costly to clean things like that up, and we do clean them up. We'll use things like EnviroSnouts, which essentially traps a lot of that petroleum in the stormwater system prior to getting to the pond. In addition, if necessary and required by the engineering, we can install an oil water separator, which would separate off all the water that would come off of the canopy and catch any potential spills. And so that's a large underground containment system with a trench drain. So there's a lot of things we can do to protect the water, and we have in the past. So that's something we would absolutely be willing to entertain. Does that answer your question on the pond?
Answer your question, Commissioner
I'm
Farina?
trying to pose other people's questions. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Another question was, do you sell alcohol?
We do sell alcohol per local ordinances. So, we would be under the same restrictions as the other fuel stations in the area. So we would be starting up and shutting down alcohol sales at the same time.
Packaged liquor also?
Packaged liquor, I don't believe we've made a decision on that yet. From a merchandising perspective.
Okay.
It would not, it's not impossible that we would sell that.
I have a question for you. Mine. Has the purchase of the property been completed?
I believe.
Is it finalized?
We have not purchased this property. We are going to lease it. So we would be leasing it from the property owner. So Sheetz wouldn't be purchasing this. We would sign a long-term land lease and build, own, operate, maintain the building and the infrastructure.
And who's going to own the property then?
That would be, the property owner that's been
The original property.
put on the deed.
The original, the bank?
No, it would be another property owner that's purchased the property.
Okay.
Another real estate investor.
You mentioned you've done projections on the business, and have you done projections on the effect to the area, including the other businesses in the area?
We have not done anything in effect to the other businesses in the area. We have done everything from a traffic study all the way to our own analysis to make sure that the site would meet, kind of our requirements for how much traffic and the type of, movements necessary and things like that from the site.
Periodic, I guess, from my point of view, you've opened these around, you've got like 400, 500
700 plus, yes.
Typically, what happens to the local businesses in the area?
I don't know if I can speak to that accurately. I would say what I can tell you is that when we do come into a market, sometimes good things happen. You know, a little bit of competition can help improve things in the area. So if there's a site that does need investment, even if it's 2 miles down the street, sometimes we see more investment in businesses in the area. Either one, because we maintain our site in such a nice way, they want to match that, or two, they want to stay competitive. So I can't speak to any kind of specifics or some kind of statistic on that.
A lot of questions have been about traffic, and getting into your site is not a smooth transition into that site. The way your driveways are, how would you get a big diesel rig in there? Where are your diesel pumps going to be anyway?
So I'd like to make a quick point of clarification. We do not cater to large trucks. And what I mean by that is we don't expect or want large semi-truckers to be coming through and stopping in our site. We are able to, as a matter of our engineering, able to get our fuel truck and delivery truck on the site. So a few things. Like I said, we don't cater to these large trucks. We don't have anywhere for them to park. They certainly do not really fit on this site. We do not have high-flow diesel. We do not have any kind of showers, nothing to that effect that it would attract over-the-road truck drivers. But just to be clear, we can circulate the site with our delivery trucks.
Can you answer one question in between, Commissioner Farina, if you don't mind? We're talking about the tanks. One public speaker mentioned there's 8 tanks. Does that mean there's twice? Are they double tanks? Are there 16? Are there 8 or 16 ways to get gasoline?
There would be 16 spaces to park to get, but eight dispensers there, two-sided.
Correct. Okay, thank you, sir. Who's speaking? Not at the moment, sir. Go ahead, Frank. I am going to ask you not to speak, sir, okay? This is, right now, the public hearing is closed. You had your opportunity. Thank you.
Now, somebody mentioned the availability of EV, and it's not shown on your plan, and I checked, and it's not on your plan.
That is correct. It is not shown on the plan at this time. Here's what I'd like to address about EV. A lot of the technology is proprietary, so Sheetz doesn't own it. If we could, we would absolutely be installing it on almost all of our sites. But at the moment, we have to approach Tesla, EV America, the list goes on, for their technology in order to get that installed. And they don't always want to come to all of our sites. So that's not something I can guarantee that we're going to install. Here's what I will say. Sheetz is actively engaging in research and development to develop our own EV in-house system. What that's going to look like yet, I don't have all the information. And part of that is because all the proprietary technology hasn't been released for us to use. So when EV becomes available for us to develop it, we will aggressively be adding that into our sites. We do pre-plan some things like ADA spaces, conduit, and things like that on the site through the final engineering in order to make that easier to accommodate.
You want me to continue?
Yeah, go ahead and continue.
Okay. Somebody mentioned that doesn't promote walkability because that is essentially it's only on the fringes that's walkable. I mean, how do you address that?
Well, if you look at the site, there are 2 concrete walkways that enter the site, one from 14 Mile, one from Utica Road, and go up as close to the building as they can within the protected green space. And the rendering doesn't show both of them. You can see on the west side that there's a striped walkway crossing the asphalt portion over to the building. There would be one on the east side as well. It's just not showing in this picture. So insofar as is practical, we have made this pedestrian friendly.
Thank you, Ms. Klein.
In addition to that, we do like to provide bike racks on our sites.
Thank you. You made my day.
We do like to do that, and I think as part of this project, we would be improving the sidewalks on our frontage. Is that correct or no?
In the areas where they need it,
Okay.
their sidewalks there are actually in pretty good shape right now.
Okay.
How did you determine that a third gas station would be a viable option in the area?
I know that our real estate people spend a lot of time looking at a lot of metrics, everything from safety to the number of vehicles per day to how many people are in the surrounding area, other businesses in the area, and I can tell you that they feel confident that we would be able to sustain our business on this corner. Past that, I don't have data on hand to discuss that at this time.
And that radius that you have coming in off 14-mile road there is ample for a fire truck to make a turn?
Yes, it is. We've run models to make sure that emergency vehicles, the garbage truck, and the delivery vehicles can all get into and out of this site safely.
And what is that turning radius?
Usually for a fire truck, I'd have to look at what the Fraser standards are, but most of them require a 40-foot clear turning radius.
Okay. Other questions that I have written down?
Oh, I can say, I just have a few. Do you have any comments from the public that you want to address?
No,
To
go
answer?
ahead.
Commissioner Kyle? No? Oh, okay.
Well, I've got,
Just, go ahead.
no, I'm good.
Sir, I'm going to ask you again. If you interrupt again, I'm going to ask you to exit the building. Sir, I don't want to go back and forth. Thank you. All right, so sir, I'm speaking now. If you cannot keep quiet, please exit the building. I understand that you're emotional about this. I understand your comments. You had the opportunity to speak just as well as everybody else. Public hearing is closed. All right, I have a few questions, and hopefully just to address what some of the public comments were. It's just that the public understands that this rendering and the site plan that was shown tonight is not what's being approved. It is the rezoning that's going forward to City Council. And Planning Commission is making a recommendation only. We are not the ones we have to consider any application that comes into the city. Somebody made the comment that, why are you bringing this stuff? All right, I'm not answering questions right now. Please respect the board. Everything's closed for public comment. I've lost my train of thought here. We are not, first of all, we're not trying ourselves to bring development in. When an application is received, they go through the review process and they come in front of us to make a yes or no decision. This conditional rezoning is a recommendation only to City Council. City Council has the final say on this conditional rezoning. If City Council grants this conditional rezoning, that site plan will come back here. And that's when we will address all the site plan issues that we casually see at the moment. But it will go through departmental review for any concerns, as well as fire, engineering, DPW, so we can address that when if the site plan comes back here. All your comments were recorded tonight. They will be incorporated in the minutes. The video will be online. The meeting video will be online. I encourage our city council members to view the video, to read our minutes, to be well prepared for their consideration of the rezoning. I encourage the public to attend the city council meeting also. In our zoning ordinance, the city council may hold a public hearing. They're not required to hold a public hearing. I don't know what city council will determine, whether it'll be a public hearing or not. I am hoping, even if it's not a public hearing, that the chair will open up the floor for public comments. Let's see what else I have.
Madam Chair, might I ask a question regarding
No, sir. No, sir. If you want to come approach me at the end of the meeting, I'd be more than happy.
I'd like to imagine my input.
You're in, okay. You can't now because the public hearing's closed. If you want to come back after the meeting, I will address any concerns and questions that I can assist you with. Okay, thank you, sir. How do I want to say this? Maybe our city attorney can answer this question. I don't mean to put you on the spot, Ms. Tomage, but what is the determining factor for city council to hold or not hold a public hearing?
My understanding is city council will hold a public hearing on the conditional.
That's your understanding at this point. So it will be renoticed to the 300-foot radius?
Yes, that is my
Okay.
understanding.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Let's see, I understand everybody, a lot of people are emotional about the, the bank building. I understand their comments on safety and litter. I'm not sure how the sales of alcohol works in our city. Do you know? Usually it goes through the police department. They have so many permits to issue.
That I don't know off the top of my head. I believe, you would need state permits as well as I believe local permits
Okay,
as well.
yes, right, okay. So we have no control over that. Okay. Let's see, what else do I have? Some of the comments were terrific about the economic development and director, DDA. We do not have that here in Fraser. We do not have a DDA to promote business. We don't have an economic director to promote business. I encourage any of you residents to reach out to this department or the administration if you know of anyone who might want to use this site. I appreciate the applicants coming in. It's a beautiful site. It's gorgeous, and I think that's the conflicting concern here. It's very aesthetically pleasing.
If there are no other questions or concerns, I'd like to just talk about a few of the points that came up tonight.
Go ahead.
A couple of things, especially from the environmental perspective. Sheets has almost an unlimited resource to correct environmental issues. We do that voluntarily when we buy sites. There are sites that aren't required to be cleaned up. They're below certain thresholds. We do it anyway. We spend a substantial amount of money monitoring and maintaining our UST systems and fuel dispensing systems. And I have spoken directly to our environmental director at Sheets, and we have an unlimited budget to repair and correct UST systems if they leak. So if we find a system that we can't fix, we will rip it out and fix it. And that's honestly what we're supposed to do per Eagle standards. We will meet those standards, and I can confirm that we've done that in a few locations. We've had an issue, it was unable to be resolved without replacing the tank. We replaced the tank and fixed the contamination. So we really are a company that does put a lot of money where our mouth is about fixing environmental contamination. We've only had a few situations where we have had, environmental contamination leak from our sites that's from us, and we've corrected all those items. So it just kind of speaks to a broader, we're trying to be good stewards of the environment, especially in the communities that we're in. We understand that there's people there, and we don't want to have impacts to groundwater and soil either. So that just speaks to a little bit of that. And in addition, our fuel system runs under vacuum. So when you dispense fuel, there is not a lot of vapors getting out, if any, even from the pump, because modern vehicles have a vapor recovery system built into their gas tank. So I understand concerns about, maybe fumes coming out. It's really uncommon at a well-maintained gas station to smell any kind of fumes. In addition, our delivery trucks have built-in vapor recovery systems. So when our truck is there dumping fuel, they recover the vapor that comes out of the tanks. So we're taking all those steps to make sure that we're protecting the community. There's a lot of questions about the traffic congestion. We have done a traffic study, and like we said earlier, there are minimal changes that need to be made to some signal timing. We had that study done by a professional engineer, and I don't know if that's been reviewed by the city at this point, but it will be reviewed and approved by the city to make sure that we're not causing any major, detrimental traffic situations out there on the road. From a lighting perspective, we will meet all lighting codes, and I believe your standards is a 1/2-foot candle at the lot line. We will meet that, and in addition, the buffering is that's not even taking into account the landscaping buffering. So I think we've done everything we can to try to minimize any kind of lighting impacts, including, we don't have any floodlights or anything like that, and all of our lights are down lights. So we're not trying to throw lighting onto any other property, especially residential. In regards to safety and security, late night activities, I think it was said earlier, we can't control everything that happens at night. What I will say is that our security and our cameras deter a lot of those activities. We have letters from Pennsylvania state troopers that say, hey, at night especially, people avoid sheet sites because they know our cameras are so good they can still get caught at night. So we do everything we possibly can. We can't control every customer that comes in our doors, but we do everything we possibly can to mitigate any kind of safety concern for the community. In addition, I think one other thing we wanted to note is that the speedway to the northwest of the site, we believe, is a 24-hour operation. We just wanted to bring that to your attention as well. Lastly, I think a couple of things. There is an interest, like we understand that this site is going to be redeveloped one way or the other, and that's just something that our landlord has, I believe, communicated to us. And that's one of the things I want to point out is, we're trying to exceed your codes and give as much landscaping as we can, a lot of green space, a lot of good amenities to the community, to just be a good partner and try to just be there for the community and provide a nice amenity.
Thank you, Mr. Brockelmeyer.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Commissioner Kyle.
One of the big concerns I heard from the citizens of Fraser tonight was the 24-hour deal. Is every one of your stores 24 hours?
Every single store is 24.
So if let's say this went through, but one of the stipulations was no 24 hours.
We would not build the site.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Meyer?
Would the same thing pertain to drive-throughs? Or having, like several people said, having the drive-throughs for a shorter period of time, let's say up till 10 o'clock or something, so it wouldn't be overnight? Would that be a possibility?
I do not know if we've done that. I would like to speak more broadly on the drive-through. We do have data we have a data analytics team. It's pretty awesome. They can analyze all kinds of sale data from our cameras, all kinds of things like that. And they did a study on our platform with drive-throughs. Our peak is 11 cars per hour at lunch. Off hours, it's 2 to 3 cars an hour. We really aren't running a huge amount of volume, and there's a couple of reasons for that. We have made-to-order food. We intend people to come in, grab their food, use the restroom, maybe grab a cup of coffee, and then walk away. It's a little bit more of an attraction to come inside of the building to eat. There's a nice place to sit down, relax, maybe even jump on the Wi-Fi. We have free Wi-Fi at every store. So it's a little bit more of an attraction to come inside the store. The drive-through is really for convenience, and really what we're getting at with a drive-through is, say you've got 4 kids in the back of your minivan. Do you really want to bring them all into the store at 6 p.m. after a soccer game? Not really. And what we see is a lot of families like that come through the drive-through because they can mobile order on their app, they can order on the touchscreen, they don't have to yell at anybody in the car or over the speaker, and they just drive up and get their food that way. So it's really not an attraction. We're not trying to shove high volumes like Chick-fil-A or Starbucks or anything like that.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? I think we're done. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming this evening. Who do I have? Ms. Sierra?
Yeah, I just would like to put on the record that, so after this meeting, their Sheets attorney and the city attorney will be drafting a conditional rezoning agreement for city council review. So until that's done, we don't know when the city council meeting will be held, but it'll be noticed, it'll be in the paper, and according to public hearing requirements.
Thank you, Ms. Sierra. So it could be a couple of months.
I guess it depends on how long they take to.
It's a long process to do the rezoning agreement, I know that, so. All right, if there's no other comments, I will entertain a motion.
Well,
Commissioner Warnick?
we were just asking questions of that.
We're still-
Now I just want to make comments.
Okay, go ahead.
To give direction, I think.
Okay.
This whole process, I found out a week ago when we got our packets about this. No idea. I knew the same, some of you out in the audience probably knew before me because you got the 15-day notices probably. So it's a lot to take in a short period of time, especially after we worked for multiple years, this board, on a master plan for the downtown district, the community business district. And we worked on a plan, went through everything we could, back and forth, back and forth. This is what we want in this city. This wasn't part of that plan. The process here, asking for conditional zoning, is asking for a number of variances that would have normally had to go through our ZBA. And they would have had a chance to dig in more and more. Conditional zoning's completely different. So these 5 items, drive-through, 24-hour, et cetera, doesn't address it like a zoning board would exactly, with hardships and practical difficulties and why to give. This whole site, I've been in this city, I've lived here 46 years. I've been in the school district 65 years. I'm a Fraser person. My brothers worked at Foster's gas station, which is where the Mobil is now, and that was in the 60s and the 70s. Things were different with signage. Here we're asking for setbacks with signage and everything just because they got it. Well, times change. We don't just give stuff away because somebody else had it. The times changed, and now with this district and with the zoning, our zoning ordinance, there's reasons for why we put what we put. So those setbacks, it's a reason. It's not just because they got it across. They got it across because they got it a long time ago. We can't make them get rid of that. That stands for the test of time while they're there. When we get a new opportunity that somebody's coming there to maybe start a new business or to change something, that's our opportunity to get maybe some of these setbacks further away. There's a lot of stuff that could have been done with this site differently, maybe the layout to get these. I'm glad they're monument signs because that's our direction, but still blocking vision. There could have been things looked at like the canopy and pricing up there. There's a lot of different things, and this is such a short time. I can't recommend something like this on this short notice, especially when we have other sites. Groesbeck, everybody talks about and keeps bringing up Groesbeck. Groesbeck is a perfect place for this business. We'd love this business in our town. It's the site. It's the site that bothers me. When Miss Stasek, was it, about the DDA, I was administration here at that time. We tried twice with the DDA, and there just wasn't, it was great. We were going, and then it died. What we need is a DDA for things like this. This should have gone through a DDA, and they got involved first. This is a long process, and it shouldn't be jumped at overnight like this in a quick way. And it's not overnight, believe me, in the whole process in the scheme of things. But it seems like it, especially when people out here just really, it was Christmas and you're not even thinking about something like this. And all of a sudden, your backyard has this big, different whole site completely. And of course, you were used to the State Bank of Fraser, so everybody gets complacent with what's there. And yeah, there's going to be change. That's the way it is. I'm sorry, that's America. And things are going to change. They're not always going to be for the better in each of our own's opinion. But this we worked on so hard for this site, or for this downtown district, to make it the walkability. A lot of different factors came in. It's not just here. I just can't pick one thing or another. It was a combination of a ton of things. And what we cared about, and knowing, being here my whole life, is you know the town. I worked here. I retired from this city here, and you meet the people, you love the people, it's a different world as far as I'm concerned. I work in other areas now which are nothing like this Fraser. Of course, 4 square miles is small, but you get to know everybody, especially if you went to school here. This isn't something I can back, and I'll just say right now, I would not recommend this to council. That's just my personal opinion.
Please stop with the clapping, please. Any other comments? Not necessarily questions, but comments? None? Commissioner Farina?
Yeah, I'll make a comment.
No, go ahead, Commissioner Barr.
I think the object is great, but not here, not at this site. That's the whole problem. Not that it isn't a good thing, all of that, but this is the wrong site for it.
Commissioner Farina?
When we look at a special land use, there are 8 standards that we have to consider. And we've skirted some of those, and they have skirted what on their side to their advantage on some of those. But one in particular that I'm looking at, the proposed use is necessary for the public convenience at the proposed location. In no way I can find that that's true. Because if it is food, there's a restaurant within a half a block. If it is gas, there's 2 gas stations. So I'm going to have a hard time with that one. There are also several others in here. And about the public safety and the welfare will be protected with the increased traffic. I don't know that that's to be true, so I would have a problem with that. Proposed use shall not cause substantial injury or the value properties. And that includes the businesses, other businesses in the area. And I don't know that that's the case here at all. And we have to look at what happens if they're vastly successful. And I truly hope wherever you build this, it will be. Do these 2 gas stations go out of business and we're stuck with remediating two parcels that can be nothing but gas stations because they got tanks in them? So those are my thoughts on it. So.
Okay, I will give you my thoughts. It's not in line with our master land use plan. We worked very hard, this whole board worked diligently on our master plan, and it was adopted by City Council. I hope City Council respects our opinion on the master plan as well as our opinion this evening. It's not a fit for that location. Love the building itself, the aesthetics and all the landscaping and the bike racks and all that good stuff, but it's not a good fit and it's just not personally, I don't think it's a good mixed-use development. Those are my thoughts, very simple.
So, how do you want to handle this?
Should I
Do you
just
want
make
a
a-
roll call, yes or no?
First we have to put a resolution on the floor.
I'll make a resolution.
Go ahead, Commissioner Meyer.
I make a resolution that this does not go before City Council for approval for the 5 variances. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but I suggest that we do not send this to council for our approval of the 5 variances. Have I said that?
It has to go to council.
Well, I'm suggesting that we say no, that we.
The recommendation.
Our recommendation is no for the 5 variances. Have I said that correctly? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I'm going to let the city attorney speak.
Well, that's what I'm asking her directly.
So I would recommend, if that's, your intent is to recommend a denial, is that
Exactly.
correct? Okay.
Recommend a
So
denial.
my recommendation would be wording along the lines of making a motion to recommend denial to city council for the foregoing reasons. I think most of you have articulated, without putting them inside the motion, those reasons. I do think it would be prudent to incorporate those into a formal motion. But to begin that phrase would be something along the lines of move to recommend denial of the conditional rezoning to city council.
Okay, I'll second your motion.
No, Commissioner Meyer needs to put the reasons into her motion as best as you can, and we'll, assist if you're missing any that we think.
Okay. I would like to recommend to city council that we will deny the 5 variances. Number 1, because of the fact that, what? Oh,
No comments, please.
Why don't you just say deny the special land use? And that takes care of the variances. You don't.
okay.
Or refer to the square on your last page of your report. Might be helpful too.
You're okay.
And be patient. We're okay.
None of us have been through this before.
Okay. I request that the city council accepts our denial because of the fact that we're concerned with the sustainability of the existing businesses surrounding the site. We are concerned with the pond and the safety with that pond, with the picnic area. We are concerned with the fact that the monument signs, accepting that they want monument signs just because there are monument signs on the adjacent property. The amount of signage that they want on the building, as well as the potential signs on the canopies as well. And the fact that it will have a negative impact on the residential areas surrounding the site.
Master plan.
My only.
And it also goes against the master plan. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My only recommendation would be at the beginning, you had stated to recommend denial of the 5 variances, to change that language to the conditional rezoning is the technical term
Oh,
or
okay.
the proposal. But that's my only recommendation.
Do I have to say that all over again?
You can just state
the
on the
beginning.
record that you'd like to amend your motion. to
Okay,
include-
I would like to amend my motion. Thank you.
Okay, is there support for the motion?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Meyer and support by Commissioner Farina to recommend to City Council denial of the rezoning application in front of us this evening for 5 reasons. Did you get the reasons, Ms. Greenia?
I did, and the really good thing was I got that she made that motion at 10:41, and I can go in that. I will do that. I have done that many times before.
Okay, that's wonderful. It's good to hear. And any discussion on the motion on the floor?
No.
None, Ms. Greenia? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Barr,
I agree that this should be not sent.
The recommendation is for denial. So do you say yes or no?
Yes for denial, yes.
Chair Zarnecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Farina,
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Warnick.
Yes.
I encourage you all to go to city council and, publicly speak if it is a public hearing, so. Okay, thank you for your patience. Thank you all for coming. The meeting's not over if you want to stay. Do any of you need a break?
Should be over.
We take a 5-minute break.
I'm going to take a 5-minute break. That's okay.
What do you-
It's
you
your
need
good
something
approach,
quick?
but, some of us want to make them. On board, can I ask everybody to exit?
Can you go
unless they
outside,
wanna
please?
sit? And then,
Unless you want to stay for the meeting. Then push them doors shut after you go out, please. Oh, no, you
No,
can
no,
stay for the
you
meeting.
can stay. It's just we need to.
You can't talk.
Just don't talk.
Yeah.
If this guy talks again, we'll have to kick him out.
I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me
We appreciate
to
that,
speak
sir.
my mind.
Okay,
thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yep.
You can stay if you like, okay.
I'm watching at home.
Yeah, well, you're more than welcome to stay and watch, sir. We just need to continue the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Have no
You are
problem.
welcome.
Good night.
Good night, sir. All right. Did we cover 6B then? That's done because of the motion,
We're done.
right? Okay. All right, we are going to new business, 6C, election of officers.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
I'd
Commissioner
like to
Farina.
recommend you for another term as chairman since you did such a fine job tonight.
I will second that motion.
Yeah, whatever, gentlemen.
Yeah. Do they have thirds?
Are there any other nominations on the floor? If not, then, do we do a roll call on this? Is that what we do?
If you accept the nomination and there are no other nominations, then
You're done.
you don't need to vote.
It's done, and
It's you.
I forget Mr. Andrews' terminology for that. There's a word for that.
Declaration?
Oh, now it's gonna bother me.
I know.
We don't need that word. Let's get her done.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, okay.
Okay, we're done.
All right, I'm chair for another, one more year, and that's it, everyone.
And I would like to make a nomination to make Randy vice chair for a second term.
Second.
Oh, my gosh.
Any other people?
Any other nominations? Are you taking over chair?
No, Randy.
No, I'm teasing you.
I want to get it done.
Does that
know
mean
you
I
wanna
get to
get it
take this chair?
Any other nominations on the floor?
Do I have to sit there, though?
No, you're vice chair now.
Gentlemen, are there any
No, you're
nominations
vice
for
chair.
vice chair? So Randy Warnick is vice chair by
If I accept it.
that word, acclamation. I don't know what, is it, not acclamation, it's something similar.
I'm gonna ask Clark
Please
tomorrow.
do.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to nominate Renee for secretary.
Is there support for that nomination?
I'll support that.
Are there any other
You have to ask her if she
nominations?
accepts.
Oh, do you, well, do you accept that?
I will accept, yes.
But are there any other nominations for secretary? You are secretary officially. Okay. That's all taken care of. That was quicker than our public hearing. All right, so now we are going to item number 7, under unfinished business, sign ordinance discussion, and that is Ms. Sear.
All right, now for the part everyone's been waiting for, the sign ordinance.
This is the exciting stuff, right? Okay.
It's a shorter one, but we can add it to the next one.
Can we
can't
just add it to the next one and
Yeah.
stop it? It's, look how late it is.
It is very short, though.
It is much shorter
It is
than the
much
other
shorter.
ones.
What do
Maybe
you
we
think,
should
Ms.
just wait
Sear?
till, just adjourn it till next time.
Is that all it is? Just one page?
It's like 2 pages.
Right after Lauren prepped.
It doesn't matter to me.
Next time. I'm getting a lot of, okay, all those in favor for postponing the item to the next meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? I didn't have a support yet. I was just getting a raise of hands is what I was, not a motion, I don't think. We don't need a motion to postpone it, do we? It's not an action item.
No, it's just discussion.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And anybody who would like to discuss it tonight? All right, so let's just go with the preference of the board, and we will postpone the signed ordinance until February. Right? You're okay with that, Ms. Sarah? That gives you more time to slip that home occupation into the,
Yep, sounds good, sounds good. Yep.
okay, thank you. All right. Now we are going to go to item number 8, public communication on non-agenda items. I don't think there are any.
Any public?
Okay, any comments from the public on non-agenda items?
I'll be in for your sign. We'll talk about that.
Okay, all right, okay. Agenda item 9 monthly report, December 2023.
I make a motion to accept the monthly report as submitted.
You do? I have a question.
Oh, you have a question, though?
But I don't think we ever did a motion on that before, but we just discussed it.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I'm going to ask a question on that.
So we had to accept
And
it.
hopefully it won't be too lengthy of an answer.
I'm going to ask.
You want,
Question
you
two.
go, that's your question. You go ahead and ask it, Mr. Farina. You go ahead.
Now,
Go
this
ahead.
is for the city attorney and the city government and the planner. It has the big boy site plan been closed? Have all of the items been met?
They have not. The city administration decided to extend the deadline to January 17th for them to complete the conditions of the temporary occupancy agreement. My understanding is there are still some items that have been reviewed by engineering that need a little bit of tweaking. But I do know that the city administration, the city manager, they extended the deadline until January 17th. Originally, it was January 1st. With the holidays, it was extended to the 17th.
Okay.
So we have no say on that.
Do
Do you want
do
me
we
to make
have
a motion to say I told you so?
That motion is not accepted.
Thank you.
I get to do that because I get to chair for another year, so.
There you go.
Yeah. Do we have any idea how close they are to satisfying?
I think they're getting there, is my understanding. I know Mr. Andrews was in communication with, I'm going to butcher his last name, Mr. Vigneron, today. They spoke about it today, and they have, a few of the agreements are good to go. I think there's maybe one or two that still, they required some revisions on it. And then, as well as, there is one parking easement agreement that I know was discussed at the last meeting that the applicant was at, that we've also explained to them that they need to provide to our office. They've provided one that is in good form. We've indicated they can use, essentially a very similar agreement as well with the Lions Club parcel. We just have not received it yet.
So it's just the format, not what's inside the agreement.
That is correct, yeah. So it's just, we're almost there. I feel like I say that every time, but that's my understanding I had a lengthy discussion with Mr. Andrews about this topic today.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chalmers. All right. Any comments from the public on that? Okay. Agenda item number 10, the Zoning Board of Appeals Member Liaison Report. Commissioner Farina.
Thank you. Our last meeting, we had a tribute for the outgoing chairman of the ZBA who had done it for the last, well, since its inception, actually. And we had a state representative come in, and a declaration from the state was read and approved and given to him. It was a very nice tribute to Mark and Steinbeck, and that was about the extent of our business, because the gentleman who wanted a sign ordinance did not show up, and we reset the, we had to renotice the public hearing. So that will be handled at the January 18th meeting of the ZBA. So that was all the business that was done at that meeting. So, any questions?
I have none. Anybody? Anybody from the audience have questions? Okay. Agenda item 11, commissioners' comments and items of interest and concerns.
I have one comment. We got our packages last Thursday. We usually get them a week before, which is good. But I would like to get notice, I found out about this thing tonight that we went over that is very, I think, very, very important. That the city knew about it before we did. I actually found out about it laying in a hospital bed myself. So how do they decide, how do the public notices go out?
Ms. Greenia, can you answer that?
Generally, what happens is Lauren will ask the assessing department for labels for all property owners within 300 feet. And then she gets the notices ready and sends them out, and is also good. And she's also good to get the notice to the newspaper. So basically what she does is the first time I see the notice is she will get the affidavit pretty much of publication and send me what the notice looks like.
Can we, when public notices go out, can we get them too? So we would know that something this big is coming?
You would like us to add,
You know, this is like a one-time thing that's happened this whole.
are you requesting them to come deliver to your house or just email?
No, just an email. I mean, if
Okay.
something like this is going on, because like I said, I found out about this, I was notified about this last Thursday, when we were already getting slammed on the internet for over a week. You know, we were getting slammed, and I had no idea what anybody was talking about.
I think it might have been the circumstances with the.
Right, this is a
holiday,
one-time
too.
deal, but I
Yeah,
just
and
hate
the
to see it happen
holiday.
again, because it got pretty violent on the internet. You know, we were accused of taking bribes and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I had made a note that, you know, we didn't even know about it, and I was called a.
Don't smile
I
at
was
that, Ken.
called?
Don't smile at that.
He knows what I'm talking about. But just if something like this is coming up, if the public is being noticed, I think we should be notified too.
Maybe by email, we should be notified when a notice goes out.
Sure, we can do that.
By email.
I
or-
mean,
We can do it.
Will this ever happen again? You know, maybe not.
Probably
No,
not.
but I mean, if we just get in the habit, I
It's
think,
still nice.
you know, when Lauren
that's
sends
an easy thing
me
to
the
send.
notice, then I just
Even for
attach
just
that
a
to your
regular
group of
zoning.
emails and go,
Yeah, regular.
I don't need to explain anything, you'll just know it's what's coming and.
Yeah, that might be helpful. And if we have questions on it, you know, just email. If we have questions, we'll give you a call.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Do, Evelyn.
Anything else?
I'm just excited to be here.
Commissioner Warren, I guess.
No, nothing. I think things went good. I think we should have our alumni talk, too, as commissioner comments. Our alumni.
Oh, well, okay. Who's in the audience, but we will open it. We'll open it. We did open them up. Okay. Commissioner Barr.
I have nothing to say
Okay.
at this
You're
point.
looking good tonight. It's good to have you here, Commissioner Barr. Commissioner Farina. You're all set. Commissioner Meyer.
I'm set. I'm all set.
That was your
I've-
first.
I've said enough tonight.
Your
I'm
first
done
That was
motion,
your
and you
first
chose
motion.
a challenging one, and you did a superb job.
Thank you.
Ms. Greenia.
Not a gosh darn thing, but thank you.
Ms. Tomich, do you have any comments?
I am all set.
Okay.
Nice to
Ms.
have you back.
And Ms. Sierra.
I am also all set, thank you.
Okay, I have one comment. When we get copies of our agenda, and it refers to our colored copies, do we not have a color printer in City Hall?
That was awful that it said red, and I couldn't tell where red
You,
is.
and if you'd like to
what I
just
mean?
openly express to me that you would like your
Having two
copies in
pages.
color, I'd be more than happy to.
Especially with this one. I mean, I printed it in color at home, and if we can't
Oh,
accommodate it,
man,
that's.
you lost money this week.
I did. I certainly did, Commissioner Warren.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
It's usually not a problem, but this particular one
But this
said.
particular
one
one
had all
refers
the
to
notes about red
the
and-
red slatted dotted lines.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell where she's talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So if we can do that.
Sure.
And if you think, if you think the packet doesn't require color, then use your discretion. Okay? Sure. I appreciate that. I think that's it. Anybody in the audience who wants to speak before we adjourn? Okay. Come forward, come forward.
I don't think I've ever been to a meeting before, but this was probably, I don't know, this has been one of the longest ones you've done.
Not for Paul.
I just, as soon as I found out about this meeting, I just felt like.
I want you to come forward, you're going to speak.
I need a name
Because
and
we
a-
don't have it on the record, so
State your name.
state your
You got to
name.
talk in the mic now.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Jacqueline Cole. I live on 18150 Sylvan Lane. And when I heard about this whole matter, I just felt like I've lived in Fraser since 1975. And we're really big. We're near the Baumgartner house. But my husband and I are both very, you know, Fraser was like, it's just such a cool little city. There's not a lot of historical buildings here. So the thought of losing another special, like a building like that, is really sad. And to think that that could all be replaced by what was proposed, kind of bothered me.
I appreciate your comments. Jacqueline, how did you hear about the project?
Facebook.
Facebook, okay.
Yes.
I don't do social media, so.
Yeah, because.
What would you personally think? You don't have to answer, so I know I'm catching you off guard. What would you personally think if the city put out signage for potential rezoning, such as a site like this, that we put out a sign that the Department of Public Works creates for us that says proposed rezoning for information called the administration? Would that
But you'd
enlighten
have to
you
see
as to what's
Yeah,
going on in the
I think that
city?
probably would
Have
be
to
good.
Past the site and see it. And that is
Yeah.
required, actually, I think, by the Zoning
I was
Enabling Act.
asking, or is it required?
Zoning Enabling Act requires that. You
A
have to
signage.
notice at the site, whether it just be this piece of paper on a stick.
Okay, well, Commissioner Warnick, did you do that when you were
I did.
employed by
Yeah,
the
we
city?
always did.
We need to look into that, so, okay, thank you.
But
Thank you.
That's why I'm here. Because I just care, you know?
If you have an interest in the city, we welcome you. We have lots of vacancies.
Oh,
on
yes,
the
we
boards.
do.
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm busy making music still, a lot.
You still at school?
No, is this off the record?
No.
No? Okay.
You're on YouTube right now.
I'm on YouTube right now. I worked with Pasquale Pasquaretti for almost 40 years in the Fraser choral music. And I don't know how many people realize he passed away in June, but I don't know. Just was still making music with the Metropolitan Detroit Chorale, which practices in Fraser. And the city is special. And it needs something special there. And that's not it.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
I have a question, though.
Go ahead.
Can I ask the attorney and the planner to check if that's required?
Yes,
How
please.
we're not doing it?
And when it stopped and why we're not doing it going forward.
Maybe when
Yes.
Randy left.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. All right, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
That's Kenny's job.
Oh,
It's been moved by Commissioner Warnick and support by Commissioner Meyer to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
You made 2 motions.
I know.
What has gotten into you?
I don't know.
Meeting's adjourned.
I've been up since 4. I'm tired.
Oh, she seconded it.
Oh, okay.